Good evening, students. Today's topic is cash management. So, after inventory management, we will study the second component of current assets, that is cash. So, as we know that cash is the most liquid asset, and this is a particular asset because of which many organizations become sick because uh, improper management of cash may create non-performing assets also. So cash is the important current asset for the operations of the business. We can say that it is the basic input needed to keep the business running on a continuous basis, and it is also ultimate output expected to be realized by selling the services or product manufactured by the firm. And so the proper management, or we can say that the proper balance of cash in the organization is very important. So it should neither be short nor be in excess, because the cash shortage will disrupt the firm's manufacturing operations, while the excessive cash will simply remain idle without contributing anything towards the firm's profitability. Thus, a major function of the financial manager is to maintain a sound cash position in the company. Now, there are three facets of cash management. First is cash inflows into and out of the firm, means the cash inflows and cash outflows. And second, the cash flows within the firm, जो cash का management है. Then third, cash balances held by the firm at a point of time by financing deficits or investing the surplus cash. Now, this is the cash management cycle. So here, the first step, we get the information regarding the business operations, that how much cash is being collected and what is the cash payment status. So if the cash collection is greater than cash payments, then there will be surplus cash in the business, and which has to be invested in short-term investment options. And if the cash collection is less than the cash payment, कलेक्शन आपका लेस है, कैश इनफ्लोज लेस है और पेमेंट आपको ज्यादा करनी है, तो क्या होगा, डेफिसिट हो जाएगा. कैश डेफिसिट की कंडीशन में वी विल रिक्वायर कैश इन द बिजनेस. फॉर दैट वी हैव टू बोरो फ्रॉम द शॉर्ट टर्म सिक्योरिटीज. शॉर्ट टर्म लोन्स लेने पड़ सकते हैं, वर्किंग कैपिटल लोन्स या फिर ट्रेड क्रेडिट, स्पॉन्टेनियस सोर्स ऑफ फाइनेंस से भी होता है ये. देन कैश मैनेजमेंट स्टेप्स. नाउ देयर आर a few steps of cash management. First is the cash planning. So cash inflows and outflows should be planned to project the cash surplus or deficit for each period of the planning. Cash budget should be prepared for this purpose. Second is the management of cash flows. So the flow of cash should be properly management. All the cash inflows, जितने भी कैश के इनफ्लोज हैं बिजनेस में, उसे हमें एक्सेलरेट करना है, स्पीड अप करना है एज मच एज पॉसिबल. और जितने भी कैश के आउटफ्लोज हैं, पेमेंट्स हैं और जो भी हमारे ड्यूज हैं, उसको हमें डिसलरेट करना है, उसको रोकना है, और उसको जितना लेट पे कर सकते हैं उतना करेंगे. इससे क्या होगा, कैश का पूल क्रिएट होगा कंपनी में. देन द थर्ड इज ऑप्टिमम कैश लेवल. तो अभी अभी हमने थोड़ी देर पहले डिस्कस किया था कि कैश की शॉर्टेज भी नहीं होनी चाहिए और कैश एक्सेस में भी नहीं होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि अगर कैश की शॉर्टेज होगी तो हमारा प्रोडक्शन प्रोसेस इंटरप्ट हो सकता है, जो हमारी रॉ मटेरियल की सप्लाई है वो रुक सकती है, और हमें और भी जो भी हमारी डे टू डे जो हमारी वर्किंग है उसमें भी हिंड्रेंस क्रिएट हो सकती है. और अगर हमारा कैश एक्सेस में होगा तो इससे क्या होगा कि कैश आइडली रखा रहेगा. आइडल मीन्स विच इज ऑफ नो यूज, एंड आइडल एसेट अर्न्स नथिंग. खाली कैश रखा हुआ, उस पर कैश की होर्डिंग करने से क्या होगा कि कैश जो है डे बाई डे उसकी वैल्यू भी डिटोरिएट होगी टाइम वैल्यू ऑफ मनी कंसेप्ट से. और अगर हम उसको इन्वेस्ट कर देंगे इसकी जगह पे, तो क्या होगा, कुछ इंटरेस्ट क्रिएट होगा उस पर, कुछ रिटर्न आएगा जिससे कैश की वैल्यू इंक्रीज होगी. तो हमें ओवरऑल देखना है कि कैश ना तो एक्सेस में होना चाहिए और ना ही डेफिशिएंसी होनी चाहिए. अगर एक्सेस में होगा तो उसे हम शॉर्ट टर्म में इन्वेस्ट कर देंगे, और अगर डेफिशिएंसी होगी तो शॉर्ट टर्म के लिए बोरो कर लेंगे कैश को. तो इस तरह से हम एक ऑप्टिमम लेवल ऑफ कैश बैलेंस को मेंटेन करते हैं कंपनी में. देन नेक्स्ट इज इन्वेस्टिंग सरप्लस कैश. अब हम क्या करेंगे, कैश जो हमारा जो भी सरप्लस कैश है उसको हम इन्वेस्ट कर देंगे ताकि हम उस पर कुछ प्रॉफिट्स अर्न कर सकें. नाउ देयर आर थ्री मोटिव्स अगेन, जस्ट लाइक द इन्वेंट्री स्टॉक. In cash management also there are three motives of holding cash. First is the transaction motive, second is the precautionary motive, and third is the speculative motive. Now let's discuss about the cash budget. Cash budget, this is a summary statement of firm's expected cash inflows and outflow over a projected time period. जैसे हम देखते हैं every year government also prepare a budget जिसमें कि वो अपने जितने भी उनके नेक्स्ट ईयर के लिए जो भी उनके एक्सपेक्टेड इनकम्स हो सकते हैं और जहाँ जहाँ एक्सपेंडिचर्स हो सकते हैं उसके बारे में समरी प्रोवाइड करते हैं। सिमिलरली कंपनीज में कैश बजट बनता है जिसमें जो भी कैश इनफ्लोज हैं एक्सपेक्टेड इन नेक्स्ट 1 ईयर सपोज, जो भी टाइम पीरियड है, या क्वार्टरली अगर कैश बजट बना रहे हैं तो जो उस क्वार्टर में जो भी एक्सपेक्टेड कैश इनफ्लोज हैं सेल्स के थ्रू या और सोर्सेज के थ्रू, वो सारे उसमें मेंशन होंगे। और दूसरे होते हैं कैश आउटफ्लोज, इसमें जो भी पेमेंट्स करनी है कंपनी को, जो भी एक्सपेंडिचर्स है वो सब आएंगे। सो इट गिव्स इंफॉर्मेशन ऑन द टाइमिंग एंड मैग्नीट्यूड ऑफ एक्सपेक्टेड कैश फ्लोज एंड cash balances over the projected period. So overall, it gives the picture of cash balance in the company. Now the another thing is cash forecast. So some cash forecasts are needed to prepare the cash budgets because जो हम future cash flows की बात करते हैं, they are the expected cash flows and they are forecasted cash flows actually. Now these are some instruments for the cash collection like check, draft, documentary bills, trade bills, and the letter of credits. So these are the pros and cons of these instruments related to cash, like check. So as we know that checks have no charge and they are payable through clearing. They can be discounted after receipt, low discounting charges, and they require customer limits which are interchangeable with overdraft limits. And now what are the negative things with check? Checks can be bounced, we all know. Collection times can be longer, and the collection charges. These are the shortcomings of check. Second are the drafts. Drafts, these are payable in local clearing and chances of bouncing are less. And the negative thing related to drafts are that it has some cost of collection. And second thing, buyer's account debited on day one. Then the third are the documentary bills. And similarly, the trade bills and the letter of credits. Now there's just like the inventory management EOQ model, there are also some models or theories related to the maintenance of optimum cash balance. First is the Baumol's model, which is used in the condition of certainty. So according to the Baumol model, there are some assumptions. Like first is that firm is able to forecast its cash need with certainty. Second, firm's cash payments occur uniformly over a period of time. Third, the opportunity cost of holding cash is known and it does not change over the period of time. And the fourth is that the firm will incur the same transaction cost whenever it converts securities into the cash. So this is the Baumol model's graph. You can see here as we are using the cash, the level of cash balance is decreasing linear order, and then again we replenish it at a particular point of time, then again it is decreasing, then we replenish and in the same interval of times. And here the average cash balance remains C by 2, and where C is the annual cash requirement. And on this x-axis or the horizontal axis we have taken time, on the y-axis we have taken the cash balance here. Just like the inventory stock, cash also has two types of cost involved, the cash maintenance. First is the holding cost or the carrying cost. So the firm incurs a holding cost for keeping the cash balance. It is the opportunity cost, that is the return foregone on the marketable securities. So if we are holding the cash in the company and not investing it somewhere else, then it involves the opportunity cost of investing it in some marketable securities or in the short term securities, and by which where we could have got some return out of that. So that becomes the that opportunity cost becomes the holding cost here. So holding cost formula is small k c by 2, where this C is the cash balance and small k is the opportunity cost of capital or the return which we could have got if we would have invested in some investment options. Then the next is transaction cost, and that is similar to the carrying cost or the ordering cost, which was in the case of inventory. So transaction cost is also, if suppose we are investing our money or the excess balance of cash in some marketable securities, then it requires some transaction cost, and its formula is small c capital T by C, where T is the total fund requirement, capital C this is the cash balance, and small c this is the transaction cost per unit. So if we have to find out the total cost of maintaining cash, that is small k c by 2 plus small c T by C. And here also, just like the economic order quantity, we find out the optimum cash balance with the help of this graph. This is just similar to the EOQ graph. Here, as we increase the cash balance, our holding cost increases in a linear fashion, and by increasing the cash balance, our transaction cost is decreasing exponentially. And we can see here that there is one point at which the total cost of holding and ordering the cash, that is minimum, and at this point of cash balance we find the optimum cash balance, that is C star. And this is our Bomas model, just similar to the EOQ model, and this is applied in case of certainty, when we can certainly forecast our cash requirements for 1 year at least. And the second is the Miller-Orr model, which is used in the uncertainty condition, in which we find out the optimum cash balance. So here the Miller-Orr model, it assumes that net cash flows are normally distributed with a zero value of mean and standard deviation. So this is the graph for the Miller-Orr's model. Here on the x-axis we have taken time, and on the y-axis we have taken cash. So we can see here this is the return point. As we consume the cash, its level decreases. So whenever our cash is in excess and it touches a maximum level, we just invest our excess cash uh, in the short term securities or the marketable securities, so that its total balance gets down at a particular point, that is called the reorder point. So at this till this reorder point we will invest our excess cash, and after that again, if the cash requirement decreases at till a minimum level, then we will borrow the cash from the short term loans and other options, and we will further raise our cash balance to the reorder point, and this way it will keep going in the case of uncertainty. So here there is some formula according to the Miller-Orr model by which we determine the optimum cash balance, that is Z is equal to 3 by 4 transaction cost into cash flow variance divided by the interest per day to the power 1 by 3. So that's all for today's lecture. Thank you.